we'll go forward and talk about the state of the city of Redmond. So this is Redmond 2007, this picture is. You can see in the background, that's the building the Matador is in. There's Cleveland, still bumper to bumper traffic. This piece of land, I think this is where the Tipsy Cow is now. But when I became mayor, this is what almost the center of Redmond looked like. And we're the home of Microsoft, leading technology company in the world, at one point the highest valued company in the world. And we don't have anybody walking, it just doesn't fit with that Microsoft high-tech image, I think. So, but we did have a vision about where we wanted to go. And we knew we were going to grow. One of our issues is our population is less than the number of jobs. So when you have, back then we had 81,000 jobs and almost 50,000 people, and still we're going to be a net importer of people every day. And you can see in 2030, we're going to continue to be a net importer. So some people say, oh, Redmond, you're on the edge of the Puget Sound area, the King County, Seattle area. But we need regional transportation to get people in and out of those jobs. So that was one of our first challenges that we had to tackle in the aughts. So we had a vision. The county or the city council adopted the comprehensive plan in 2006 and 2007. And we said we're going to manage our growth by putting it in 2 urban centers, downtown and Overlake. And one thing I learned in the beginning of 2008 was about the growth. I asked the planning director, how come we're not growing where that vacant lot is? Why is the first development, it's where Group Health is, or Kaiser Permanente, and the answer was, well, that's where they're closest to the sewer line. I said, well, what does that have to do with it? I said, well, it's about $1 million a mile to move a sewer line. So if you're going to build in the middle of the city, you're going to pay a few $1 million to extend that sewer line. So you're telling me our growth is going to follow the sewer line? Yes. So if you don't like the answer, you work to change it. So this was the vision. Well, we had the vision. I had these drawn up because I wanted people to visualize the vision. But to resolve my dilemma, the city council approved a number of capital projects where we ran water, sewer, and stormwater pipes up Cleveland. And so now when the developers come, they can develop in the center of the city and they pay a hookup fee that pays for those utilities. And then we started getting growth closer to the center of town. So in our vision, we said we're going to have light rail because we have to be part of the regional mass transit system. We can't build enough roads to get double the population. So our daytime population is roughly 120,000. You think about right now we got 65,000 people living here. About 30% of them are under 18. How many of those are working at Microsoft? And some people live here and work here, and some people live here and work somewhere else. So it's a daily challenge to move that many people every morning. Then 2008, we had our recession. And we ended up having to lay off about 50 people, about 9% of our workforce at the time. But for a city, a financially stable city, I should say, this is a great time to do your development. Land prices are low, building costs are low, and so that's when we started doing those water pipes, sewer pipes, and other improvements. So imagining downtown vision, we knew we had to do Bear Creek Parkway first because we needed to create a third way to go around downtown, because we were going to then complete the street grid and the north-south connections. And that's 164th and the roundabouts here. That's 160th and that's 161st. No, 161st and 160th. But if we're going to do construction to create this grid, we had to have Bear Creek Parkway. And then we had the opportunity to buy the Burlington Northern Railroad in 2010. And this runs from 520 basically all the way up to 124th along Wills Road. And we've phased it in 3 phases, and the first 2 phases are complete in creating both a park and a trail through Redmond. And then we did the infamous 2-way street conversion. Again, we needed the Bear Creek Parkway open, so while we can do construction in here, we did Cleveland Street, I want to say in 2014, and we just last October finished Redmond Way. A number of people told me how much it wasn't going to work, and since October, a number of people have told me how much they love it. The businesses in downtown love the drive-by traffic. They wish the drive-by traffic would move a little faster sometimes so more people would see them. But the circulation and the flow within the city has greatly improved. The only complaints I get are from people in Sammamish who want to go through Redmond, and I tell them, well, you got Bear Creek Parkway or 520. And we won't charge you a toll. And then, to make this whole new neighborhood, we bought land in the center of town for Downtown Park. Because transforming our downtown from that vacant lot to a neighborhood, we put those pipes, so we encourage housing. The zoning is roughly 6 stories, multi-use on the bottom and housing up above for the most part. Nobody walked downtown in 2007. My test was at 8 o'clock at night on a Thursday. How many people do you see on the corner trying to cross the street? And there weren't many. Now you can drive through 8 o'clock any day of the week, and you're going to see people throughout the city traveling. A lot of them are apartment dwellers. A lot of them are those of us who live on Education Hill or Grass Lawn Park or somewhere else. The best place to campaign is right in front of Mount Holly Moons. Just buy yourself an ice cream and sit on the bench, because people were coming to downtown because they loved it. So the downtown park is going to be complete this fall, August, September-ish, depending on weather. And this is going to be another gathering place for this new neighborhood. And this is a conceptual drawing of what it's going to look like. But there's going to be 3 centers, if you will. One, a big grassy center. A middle one is going to be a splash pad for the kids. And then the last one is like a gazebo, but high-end gazebo. We can stage all kinds of events, small or large, and we're really looking forward to this opening later this year. So, in 2007 and 8, we had a vacant lot, and we had a recession going on. Traffic really improved during the recession, and as therefore, when we came out of the recession, there were a lot of traffic complaints. But that's the problems of prosperity. Problems of prosperity, you're dealing with traffic because people want to be there. You're dealing maybe with parks that are full because people want to be there. When I first won election in 2008, people said, Mayor, we want more restaurants. There's kind of 2 or 3, depending how you counted restaurants in downtown. I said, well, I'm not going to go recruit restaurants, but I'm going to make downtown an interesting place so they want to come here and people want to come here. So the infrastructure, besides what I've talked about, led to this. And this is a picture of Cleveland Street. So from vacant lot to active place, a place that people want to be. In Overlake, we did some infrastructure improvements also. Stormwater is a big issue to manage. It rains a lot around here. And we worked with Sears and bought kind of leased their back parking lot, and we put in a detention vault that I think is the size of 3 or 4 football fields to collect rainwater and release it slowly, so when it goes into Kelsey Creek, we don't blow out Kelsey Creek, that the fish habitat there can thrive in Kelsey Creek. We built the 36th Street Bridge. This was 2009 or 10, I think, when it opened, in partnership with Microsoft, and also that was the federal stimulus package paid for a good part of this also. Again, we were in a recession, that was a good time for us to build. So laying the foundation, literally for a city, is starting underground, starting below the dirt where you put in pipes. You want your pipes to be the first thing you build, not the last thing. So Redmond has many advantages, and our quality of life and the talent we have in this city is two of our biggest advantages. Why are there so many jobs in Redmond? Because there's so many talented people that want to live here. We have a great school district. We have a great park system. You can see that educated populace is what attracts the Microsofts and Facebooks and SpaceX and other high-tech jobs here. Elon Musk, when he opened his office in SpaceX over here in Redmond, he had a big reception. He's trying to recruit people, and he kept talking about, why wouldn't you come to LA? Why don't you people come to LA and work for me? And he said, so damn it, I had to come to you. And I think he's never had to do that. And the people cheered because they come here, they love it, they don't want to leave a great place. So even Elon Musk had to come to Redmond to get his population. So our business and employment in this 2017 numbers, or 2015 numbers, excuse me, 51% of our employee population is large businesses, but 42 are small businesses, meaning under 500. Our biggest cluster is interactive media and software. Over on the other side, you can see 53% of the employees that work in Redmond are interactive media and software. We have DigiPen here in Redmond, and they train hundreds of students who move only 5 miles away to set up their own gaming companies. Games, I've learned, are like movie productions. You have the art, you have the game itself, you have all this, and you set up for 2 years for like a movie, and then you run the movie, and it has its life of its own. Maybe you get some money on syndication, but once whatever version 2 ends, version 3 comes out 3-5 years later, and so it's a constant renewal process. You can see our next largest after interactive media is administrative support, and where's the other one? Wholesale trade, and then retail and arts. But 53% of the employees here are high-tech workers. Our population numbers, 62,000. The average income in Redmond, 103,000. Stop and think about that for a second. That includes the barista that you get your coffee from, all the way to the executives at Microsoft and the executives that are other high-tech firms. 103 is the average. It's the highest in King County. The next highest in King County is, I think, Mercer Island, around 60,000. The average income in King County itself is about 58 or 60, I believe. I think my numbers are old on that, but we are by far one of the most productive, prosperous places in the county. Then language. 57% of our population speaks English at home, and that's the only language. The remaining 44% speak a different language other than English at home. We're a diverse population. When my family moved to Redmond in 1969, the statistics show that Redmond was 99% white. We've changed, we've become diverse, and a much richer community. Our art is more diverse, our events are more diverse, our workforce is more diverse. And this is a creative process, the interacting of culture, instead of having the same idea from the same group of people. So these are some of the housing units we've been building in downtown. Since 2013, we've had almost 1,500. Right now we have over 1,600 under construction, and we have almost 700 that are in the permitting stage. Our goal was to add, in the plan back in 2007, 4,000 to 5,000 housing units. We're trying to create diverse housing in Redmond. So we're preserving our single-family homes and preserving those single-family neighborhoods. But downtown, as you saw, and OVERLAKE were vacant. They're parking lots. And offering this other kind of housing allows our kids to move out of the house. It allows you to downsize once your kids move out of the house. So it wasn't just me. There's a lot of people that needed that kind of housing. And so people go, why do you make that so diverse? Because the alternative, because people wanted to come here, the alternative was to spread it evenly through the city. The alternative was to cram it in our single family neighborhoods, townhouses or something. And that creates a lot of traffic. A single family house generates twice as much traffic as a one apartment. And people say, oh, you cause all this traffic in downtown. Well, no, more people are living there. But if we put that up on Education Hill, it would have been double the traffic impact with the same population. People come, it's a problem of prosperity. People come to Redmond because they want to be here, because their job is here, because their school district's here. When you go to mayor's conferences, particularly in 2009, I had to be quiet, because even though we were in a recession, I couldn't dare speak. I have almost twice as many jobs as people. They had the problems of decay. Detroit was in free fall at that point. And in my head, I said, I don't want Redmond to become the software equivalent of Detroit. We need to have a diversity of companies. We need to keep people happy, and going back to those assets, a good school district, an educated population, and the other qualities that keep people, that make Elon Musk move to Redmond. So here are some of the numbers. On the left is our assessed valuation, and we're starting in 2009, and you can see it has gone up by a 50% in assessed valuation. Our efficiency of government, this is a number we use in our budget every year. And what we do is we take the cost of all government services and we divide it by the wages that are made. We take that 103 number and multiply it by the population, and you get a ratio. And that ratio, we started in 2009, that about 5.6% of your income was going to city services. And now we're, actually it was 6.8 back then, we're averaging 5.6. And that's one indicator of how overall efficient we've become in Redmond, in the city. We've done lean and other, the program of excellence of people improving their processes and learning constantly. And we focus this around customer service. This number shows that we're delivering the same level of service for less real dollar money. Our employee population is about the same as 2009, right before we laid off the 50 employees. So our employee population is about the same as when I started. The other mark is we have some of the most competitive housing markets in the nation. Grasslawn Park was recently Redfin's report as the most competitive house, and then followed by downtown Redmond and OVERLAKE, meaning if you want to buy that house, you better offer more than what the sticker says. But Redmond has its challenges. And to say everything's perfect in Redmond is wrong. And as I've mentioned, those challenges are of prosperity, but there are sometimes challenges that come with every community. Yes, traffic is a problem, and again, one of prosperity, but then mental health is a problem. Mental health and opioids are a problem throughout this nation, and you can ignore them or you can be active, but either way that problem's going to stay. And Redmond is trying to work regionally with the rest of the county to get people to the right places. One of our programs we started mid-16, so 2017 was our first full year, we created a homeless outreach coordinator. His name is Kent Hay, and he goes out and meets with the homeless population. He has 2 police officers that work with him. I mean, he literally beats the bushes to find people. In 2017, he made 577 contacts with people on the street who were homeless or needed assistance. 227 of those individuals were able to obtain help through his contacts with the service agencies, and 41 of them found housing, permanent housing, to get out of the situation they were. It's been a very successful program. Other cities are starting to copy us, and we're happy to share, because Kent is able to figure out, okay, if you're a veteran, I can put you in the veteran line for services. If you've done this, I can help you connect with the right people. When you're homeless, finding the connections to human services is hard. I mean, we all live with a roof over our head. Try to find a service, to find housing for yourself tonight. And you have a computer and all these warm things, and you're still going to probably have a difficulty finding that quickly. Now take away your electricity and go find that same housing. Having this person who finds and connects people with services they need has been very important. People who are on the street, they tend to either have opioid problems or mental health issues. I'd say a third to half of our police calls revolve around those two issues. And to improve outcomes, we've worked with King County to create a mental health court, and then we're having a community health court. So if you're picked up, not for being homeless, but being in a situation where you're trespassing and causing trouble or something, instead of sending you to district court and you go into jail and you'll come out 3 days later, we're sending you to a mental health court that can connect you with the services that you need so you can start picking your life up together. The community, I want to make sure I get this name right, yeah, the community court is going to be run downtown, and it's going to be about once a month and maybe up to once a week depending on the demand, where again you have people who need human services. They don't need to go to jail. Statistics show that you spend 1 weekend in jail, your life will tend to spiral downward. If you can avoid jail, you're more likely to get back on your feet. Why would we send people to jail? That is the most expensive treatment, sending someone to jail. The most efficient thing is to connect them with the services they need. And we're proud to be doing that. We've been very successful in our programs and measuring that. And I think I've covered all of those. So moving forward, so I told you about the last 10 years at Redmond and the people who have come to these breakfasts before. Yeah, you told me that, John. Why are you telling me again? Well, one, because I want you to remember where we came from. Sometimes people forget where we came from. But we're finishing that plan. We adopted in 2006, 2007, 2030. And as we finish that plan, we are teeing up to start our next plan. We hope that between now and 2022, we're going to update our comprehensive plan. We're going to decide how we're going to manage growth. We're going to decide how we manage infrastructure. And this is the time for people to get involved. Once we start moving dirt, that's too late. But that's usually when we get the protesters, because you move the dirt next to their house. So we're really going to have strong outreach and engagement with all elements of our community to create a comprehensive plan that goes to 2040 or 2050, depending on what the region targets here. Also coming, that's this slide, sound transit. I tell people that our city is so busy right now, and particularly in development review. Number of permits, just regular permits, are at a high, all-time high, our highest in the last 10 years. But then we have Microsoft saying they're going to do some tidying up. Is that fair? And we have sound transit. These are huge projects. They're like 2 pigs and our Python. And I'm trying to digest them and process them. You don't like that? You can picture, everyone's talking about 1 pig and a Python. We had 2. And you're going to see our development review and our engineering and our other services that we provide are going to need to increase, and we'll be going to council this year and in the budget season to staff up for these big projects. But sound transit, we have 4 stations. The first two are supposed to open in 2023, OVERLAKE Village and the Redmond Redmond Technology Center, which is 40th Street. We're going to open in 2023, and then open in downtown, one in MARYMOOR Village, which is where 520 ends, and the other in downtown Redmond, which is about 2 blocks from here. It's going to be an elevated station over 166 and the street in front of the mall here, 76. People can get out and walk to those housing units we built. People can get out and come to the mall and shop. But this is part of being the regional mass transit plan. So for the 119,000 jobs that are going to be here in 2030, 2040, we can move people more efficiently. So then the Microsoft refresh. And this is something that Microsoft announced at the end of November. And they're going to a concept that is very pedestrian-centered. And so we're working with them. There's new ideas that there's not regulations or standards for necessarily, that we have to work in tandem. But by putting they're putting their infrastructure underground. You're copying me, aren't you? And making the surface a much more walkable campus, I guess, but with an urban feel. And you can go to Microsoft's site to learn about more about that. Then MARYMOOR Village. This is where, let's see, do you know where Post-Doc Brewing is? I see a lot of heads nodding. You know, if you refer to a beer place in Redmond, you can give directions anywhere. That's just north of there is where the station is going to go. And it'll be basically paralleling or alongside 520. And the city council at the end of last year rezoned MARYMOOR Village to create this urban feel, more artsy. Again, taking a place that's mostly warehouses and making it a place that people want to be, so we can help manage the housing demand in Redmond. So planning for the future, that's the slide I was looking for. The workshops and community engagements worked well last time. We're going to do even more robust this time. And we're hoping by 2022, the City Council will adopt that plan and we'll all know where we go. The hardest thing about planning for the future is, what will it be? And in 2006, when I was on the City Council, it's like, we can't predict what the next business is going to be, but we need to plan for the capacity for that business to come. We need to plan for the capacity for that housing to come. So we did that by diversifying our housing stock with apartments, but also single-family housing. We diversified it by having transportation choices. Our bus service is more robust than it was 10 years ago. It's still not up to what we want. We have added more roads. The roads we added in 2008 were the first roads added to Redmond in 12 years. People say build more roads. Well, sometimes that is the solution, and it builds more connections. And then our recreation. Who knows what our recreation? I didn't think 15 years ago the demand for a cricket field was going to exist. But there is demands for cricket fields. And that just shows the richness of our community. So I encourage you all to start thinking about what that city of the future can look like. And have no assumptions. And so this is not what I want Redmond to be in 2030, 2040. I can hear my opponents saying that I put this slide up and I'm going to do this. Well, that's not true. But you got to think, not only are we going to have driverless cars, are we going to have flying cars? How are we going to live as a society where we can live together and live healthy and prosperous? This is not the Redmond of the future, but we all need to start thinking about it so we can update our plan. So I thank you for your time and attention today. I know it was mostly a history lesson, but I'm very excited and optimistic about the future of Redmond and in King County area in particular. And you can help that future come true by being part of the community. Thank you very much.